Yeah.
Okay.
Not
but,
like Mumu.
You know, maybe you have a bad solo queue teammates. That's why you're upset.
Yeah,
you know?
there's one guy I can think of.
But Ziggs and Mumu is really fun because you get the chaos extra magic damage.
Yeah,
it's
true.
I love that. It's OP.
And you both press your R button.
Yes, he gets it. It's so simple.
The circles.
The circles. But yeah, we are getting deep into Fearless, and as was mentioned, AD carries likely the role that's going to feel the pain, especially since we've had Corki and Tristana played in the mid lane, which are picks you could have taken in the bot lane. They're also unavailable. So effectively 8 champions removed from the AD carry pools. There's not that many AD carries in the game. They might have to do something crazy like play mages, and we all know AD carry players hate doing
Or like Mila or
Mila.
Jhin. It's gonna get weird as Nocturne's taken away. You know, potential for Orianna Nocturne still available. Aurora was picked in game 1, so that's not a thing. Just thinking about, you know, how deep do they have to go when it comes to preparing bans as well, because those have to change. This does mean that if you're banning Nocturne in a spot where we had Zyra banned last game, we could even see a Zyra come through instead as one of those higher prio junglers. The Azir taken away from Fisher.
Yeah. The Zyra has been banned pretty consistently across the series.
Sejuani.
Sejuani still open available, so we'll see what ends up going here. Still maintaining that Shen ban is interesting. Zyra will get banned, yep. So
have to take it away from Gideon, I think, right?
Yeah.
Sejuani.
They're just going to pry the Sejuani immediately and pick that one up. In terms, there is still junglers left, but I feel like we've kind of had the big ones. The ones that have really been played a lot have gone. Poppy's been left open as a flex, though. We've seen that more support than in jungle, but you could put it in the jungle, and I think it would make sense if you're starting to feel the pain in the pool. But again, the Hens can also play that. So I think, especially at this point in Fearless in Game 4, a flex pick like Poppy really valuable to take.
Yeah. It's certainly something you want your coaches to prepare, especially for red side, where you do have that final pick and can be a bit of the struggling side, at least in this region.
Yeah.
Talia has been left available.
Talia Poppy, the anti-dash combo. I also think picking up a mid makes sense because Sejuani is so non-committal as a first pick.
And now imagine picking Rakan into this. Actually don't imagine it, please.
Completely unplayable.
That was one of the combos they mentioned, Xayah Rakan. Rakan's still available. Xayah, one of the better AD carries left up.
Thing is, it makes it awkward because a lot of the supports like Rel is still available, Alistar's still available. They all just feel painful into that combo. The Camille does come out. Camille been doing really well so far in the LCK. Also pairs well with that Sejuani.
Yukali's like, look at how many mid champs are
There's
still available.
So many champions. Yeah, mid's not feeling the Fearless pain nearly as much. Yukal also had a really rough time in lane last game. So I feel like you want to lean on something that obviously working on the comp is great, but also you have a good lane matchup. Ends up going for the Orianna. I think you're going to have a good time in the 1v1 against Talia with that one.
Yeah.
So top side of the map secure for DRX. Nongshim. We don't know where the Poppy's going. They have their mid secured. I think an AD carry pickup could be really good here. And then you can sort of target ban the other side and have a freer pool. But instead they're opting to go for the Gnar. Want to secure something they feel confident on in that matchup against the Camille. That being said, Sejuani shows up there. Very easy for them to dive on top of the mini Gnar.
Yeah, it can be a bit rough on the timing, as you mentioned. Even Camille in the 1v1 eventually can do some great work there. Lucian, another AD carry. And, you know, we talked about the AD carry pool being pinched. We're going to just see more bans.
Yeah, actually, something I said maybe Nongshim want to take the AD carry on 3 there, but the counterpoint to that is they get first pick out of the bans. So they can kind of just ban anyway and still pick whatever they wanted. And DRX, they can either try and fire back, but the more AD carries they ban, the more their pool's going to suffer. So sure, they ban the Xayah, but G will get, if there's like one AD carry left they want to play, G was going to get first choice on it.
Smolder? Could see Jiwoo Smolder.
I don't think playing Smolder into Camille or
I don't
Orianna.
think this is a good idea here.
Yeah, I don't.
Maybe game 5? I'm just thinking about like Jiwoo AD carries, you know?
Yeah. Well, you know, when Poppy passive is up, she has a ranged attack. AD carry. No.
Yeah. MF?
Yeah, really moving down the pool. There's still like Kate open. There's still the Ziggs. Although you don't have that much physical damage, there is the Jhin. Kate's now gone. Yeah, really depends what they want to lean into. And I guess they probably want to keep the flex of the Poppy for as long as possible. So I'd assume an AD carry pickup here.
I think Ju's being pressured with that decision as well at this very moment. Aphelios
Did hover it before.
I mean, the thing about Aphelios is that it's good into a lot of shorter range champions, but also suffers against heavy dive.
Yeah.
But if it's only Camille...
Oh my god. Woodid's going to be so happy. Woodid was calling for this. No. Yes. Woodid was calling for this. He wanted to see the Senna.
You have to make Woodid happy. There it is. Senna. Selected in My League of Legends.
Oh man, Senna on as well. You know, I feel like DRX kind of just come alive in the drafts as we've gone deeper in the series. This feels pretty good. We'll see what Nongshim try to round out their composition with.
Yeah!
But it is vibing.
He's doing a dance. Unfortunately, that was also blocking our Lehens pick, so we had to put him down really quick. I wanted to see more Woodid dancing. But what is he going to play? Rel is available. He'll play the Rel. That's not digging very deep into the support champion pool.
That feels very good, honestly. So the Nongshim composition, you know, you have tools that can kind of mitigate the dive from DRX. That's nice, right? When they funnel into you, like the Camille goes in and you're trying to follow up with the Sejuani, whatever, that's good. But I think the DRX composition, you have the super scale in bot lane of the Senna Ornn. You have the Orianna in the mid lane, who should have a good match from Clear, has a lot of follow-up with her ult. The Camille's going to scale well. Their comp feels very significant lane in the late game, but the lane matchups feel good too, is kind of what I'm hinting at.
Yeah.
Be interested to see what sort of Senna it is. We've been seeing, I think it was Imp was playing a lot of Senna support and was playing Black Cleaver Rapid Fire and doing really well on it. I would like to see that. I don't think you need to go like the support Senna. You know, when Senna was really broken, we saw a lot of support Senna, but they kind of nerfed that a bit. So we'll see what Senna we get out. I think the more damage Senna would make sense, but you can see how the composition works. They dive in, Senna ult on top, Orianna ult on top, you have the Ornn ult. Hard for an Aphelios to play this game, if I'm going to be honest. Hard for these immobile carries to function in Swan, but there is a decent amount of anti-dive from Nongshim, so I think they have some responses, just not all the responses.
And if you're not a fan of one of these teams, might just be hoping for a Game 5 in this one. And in that case, you'd be hoping DRX takes this one. We'll see if this draft gets them across the line as we hop onto the Rift for Game 4. Game number 4 in a Fearless Draft system. It brings out the most in the coaches, their ability to figure out drafts and put it all together on stuff that your players are also somewhat comfortable on. Maybe it's not their first or second or even, you know, top 5, but thank you very much.
That's a stack.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah.
But, you know, to put it all together while also considering your players' champion pools can be very difficult. And I think we have potentially another game.
I think it
cards.
I really hope we get it. I really hope we get it. I think a big thing is that Nongshim's composition isn't that long ranged, and yes, they have the Rel, but a lot of the time they're kind of hoping that DRX come into them. Oh man, that's so big for DRX.
Yeah, just free flash level 1, but also Nongshim trying to get some revenge. As Sponge is like, well...
Oh man, he went Q as well, which allows him to get away, but like, Sejuani E is so OP for wave clear, for jungle clear, so...
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to start the Raptors, I guess he can just Q them, but not ideal.
I think it was on cooldown.
DRX, yeah. Well, not a great start. Both sides kind of using the lane swap situation to find some aggression, find some angles. It's kind of interesting because obviously Teddy and Andal, they scale really well with this lane. So they're not, like, with a lane swap situation, you'd think they'd be okay. But it does mean you get less stacks. You also get less grasp, right, than if you're trading onto a Rel. And I think the Aphelios Rel wouldn't really have any pressure in return. So I think they really would have loved to have the 2v2 in the bot lane. Unfortunately, not going to be able to get it. And Rich, he's going to do it. He's just going to walk up. Here against a Poppy.
Wow.
I think this is a risky move. He moves up to the tower before Poppy's ready.
Level 2?
Yeah.
There you go.
The wave crashed a bit fast, I would say. But I think a dive there was definitely plausible.
Yeah. Well, the Senna's going top, and Ondil, the support player, will lane against the top laner of Gnomeshim, who is kinging on the Gnar. So
why not?
Sure. Ornn, you know, used to be a top laner, still technically
We've seen him top lane during this tournament. Lehens is level 1.
Yeah, but he is going to be able to at least force a hook shot out of there.
Yeah, Q is quite strong at level 3. And I think ultimately, without having his Q, Rich wasn't really wanting to tango up close.
Yeah. The Aphelios is really interesting. There was a time for some of you, well, might have to hold that thought as Sponge. It's all about the face checking here today. And Sponge says, well, I can fight this, but the Gnar's coming in quicker. And he's quickly realizing that he can't fight that. He's trying to get away. There's the flash on in from Gideon, and he's got Orianna to Sponge, but the knock onto the wall, the angle is perfect, and the first blood is fed right into the hands of Fisher, who is going to feel so good about that.
Yeah, the payoff there from that earlier play where they got his flash. And it's so hard as a Sejuani against the Poppy, because to get away from it, ideally, you get over to a wall and you Q over it. But the second you get over to a wall, you're getting slammed into it. There's no easy way to escape from that. So good moves from Gideon so far. And it gives a kill over to Fisher, which I'm sure he's happy about.
Yeah. And you saw Sponge, like, he knew there was potential for that to be the case, for Sponge to, rather, Gideon to be in the brush. But he checks it, he gets a little bit too close, and he finds out very quickly that he is not going to have prio from bot either. So it's rough. It's definitely pretty rough for him. And we do see Ondil, he TP'd up to top lane, and immediately Dew's just backing, and he's going bot with the TP from King into the top lane to match.
Yeah, I think he kind of knew he was doomed, and Gnar was moving first, so he's like, well, I have to go top side. But Gideon is just beating them down. And here, it's one of these situations, because the TP's coming in, he doesn't want to walk next to the wall, but like, I think he just kind of knew if he took a longer route, he was probably dead. If he walks next to the wall, he is dead. A tough situation to be in.
Yeah. Nothing he could do. The best thing he could have done is turn back time and not face check the brush with the Scuttler coming up.
I don't know why more players don't do that, you know?
Yeah.
There's nothing in the LCK rules to say players aren't allowed to turn back time.
That's true. I mean,
games.
There's not, actually.
So, potentially something we see utilized in the future.
Isn't that what the Zhonya's Hourglass is for?
That puts you in stasis.
Oh.
Doesn't turn
well,
back
it's like
time.
Stopping time, right?
Yeah, but it's not turning back time. Like, I think if Sponge stopped time there, he would just, it'd be very awkward where he's like, yeah, I'm definitely dead.
He's golden, just staring
I'm like,
at
there's no way
Poppy.
I'm getting out of this. There's nothing I can do.
Yeah. I think that Teddy, as well, by the way, is one of the players that should be very good on Senna. He has played through many metas that Senna has been a part of, and he really does excel on a pick that has very long range and can just kind of bully you.
The human nexus, you know, he will eventually have the range of the fountain laser, so.
Yep. Here comes a wall. Fisher looking to join on in. Use some of that gold, but it's just going to actually be Lehens that comes in as well and makes his life really difficult as Sponge once again falling very far behind Gideon here.
They're just punishing him for this early Sejuani pick. You know, they have a composition where you are not allowed to dash. It is illegal. You will die. If you dash, you'll die if you don't. And they are just punishing this Sejuani, who's normally a pick where you expect to play with confidence. You're tanky, you're bulky, you're hard to punish. Not right now.
Yeah, it's going to take a while. It's a far cry away from Gideon Sejuani, which was hard steal at like 15 minutes, maybe even sooner, and just farming people. But yeah, he gets caught. There's nothing that Teddy's going to do, right? So he just runs away. And it's the power of Talia as well to join fights quicker than anyone else.
Not sure how much Lehens needed to use his flash there, but he wanted to secure the kill, wanted to make sure.
Yeah, Sejuani can be weird with, like, especially if she has her Q up, you just like flash and then Q away, and it's like, whoa, whoa. She got a lot of distance from that.
Yeah, I think his flash was still down there.
Well, in that case,
that's the only thing.
Don't flash. But he wanted an assist.
He got it. He got it. Did not steal the kill.
Red-white. Something I wanted to mention earlier is that for some of you newer League watchers, there was a time, especially there wasn't Fearless before this year consistently, where we used to see Aphelios like every single game.
Yep.
Right? And I think he came in when that was still a meta, like towards the tail end of it.
Yeah.
And it used to just dominate metas, and Ornn used to be one of the things that was picked relatively often into the Aphelios because he doesn't have a dash, he doesn't have a lot of mobility, so you just kind of press your R. So I really liked that pick from Ondil. As now, thinking about something here, they're going to knock away Teddy, and now it's just Rich. He does have flash, he's going to ult on in, but there's just way too many threats, and there you go. Just easy collection for Jiwoo. So he picks up the kill on a Rich, and there's nothing that Sponge or Teddy can do except watch.
Yeah, I think Rich kind of could have done more, if I'm going to be honest. You could flash the Poppy stun, and I think you could maybe get a turnaround kill. Like, you had backup coming through.
Yukal? Oh, that's a big rock. And the ult to come in, he pulls him closer, and the flash comes through. And Fisher says, thank you very much, I'll collect that kill. Yukal left wondering what went wrong.
Like, it's not even a controversial statement, it's just an absolute fact. Yukal has been the MVP for DRX so far in the LCK Cup, but he has not shown up massively in this series, and that is a big flub to be getting solo killed by a Talia there. Fisher stepping up massively for Nongshim.
Yeah, Fisher was one of the guys at the beginning of LCK Cup that went, what, like 1-7? He was like 0-7 at one point on Victor.
Yep.
And then he had like a great play at the end. I think they won that game, actually. This play here for Rich, yeah, you could absolutely
I think he got flipped by Lahens.
Really? Oh.
So I think he didn't have a chance to. So, my bad. I criticized him. Didn't have a chance.
He is saying, like, what the hell is that? What is this? What is he doing?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
He's questioning it big time. That's putting it lightly as well. Fisher more surprised than anyone else that he was able to pick up that kill.
Yeah. So the kill on Rich on the tower, I think Lahens got the remount flip, or I'm not sure what it was specifically that CC'd him.
It would have had to be like perfect timing though, right? For the flip to actually come through, because I mean the frames right after you Camille ults, you could probably flash away, but maybe Lahens was just that clean with it. And we might get number 2, and here it does come through. That's the flip on in, and Rich, he just doesn't even bother. I feel like there was even maybe a window to try to flash, but auto attack's already in the air. It just decides to die instead. And it's just been this roaming death squad from Nongshim. They're just going around the map killing everyone.
Yeah, it's working really well. They're being proactive. They set Sponge behind, and now Gideon is just running the game on this Poppy.
A little ult on in as well. Gonna get the root down. Now Sejuani is here. Sponge looking to turn this one, but guess what? Gideon comes in and says no thank you. TP now, double TP from the side of DRX. Yukal, he wants revenge. He wants blood, but he's not in he's in a pretty rough spot actually. The stun comes down, and they're gonna give another kill over to Jiwoo. Rich trying desperately to take out this Aphelios, but he won't be able to. Sponge is also going to be kited out. Another root comes down, and he has to flash away from the seismic shove. And somehow, feels like Nongshim win all the time.
Yeah, I mean, that was such a desperation play where you...
Oh, he's going to dash over the rocks here. Rich, rough spot, trying to punish Fisher. It's not going to work out.
DRX right now. Okay, Amel doesn't die, man. It feels like they're panicking. It feels like they know the game is slipping out their hands. They know this is the last chance to stay in the tournament. They know that this is the last game if they lose it. And they are getting ripped apart right now. Beautiful stun from Gideon. The follow-up is there. Rich just about gets to play the game for a second and then dies. And then here, the ult from Jiwoo tries to go for the slow, tries to set it up. Gets a little bit messy, but the ult from Gideon is fantastic. And then here, the double TP. And I was thinking at this time, if this play doesn't go fabulously, they're just kind of cooked, and it didn't go fabulously. And now Nongshim working on these grubs.
trying to pick up a 5th. Might just be able to. Lehens has got a great angle here as well. There's just nobody really to stop him either. He just runs straight into the Sejuani. Finally, Andil is going to show up to a fight just to ult a Meganar. And it's not his fault. It's just they don't have any pressure. Lehens the one to set up the play as DRX overextend into the grub pit. And they get punished for it once again. Rich, he was just bot, didn't have TP, was never going to join that fight.
You know, we saw a game where Lehens was in the Braum, couldn't really do what he wanted to do. Felt like you could see him trying, but it wasn't there. We then saw the Blitz game where there just wasn't that many great options for him to grab. This game feels like what you want Lehens to be doing. You know, he's got the... I mean, Gideon's on Poppy as well. We think back to when it was Lehens and Peanut together.
Yeah.
That's the kind of tandem duo where they can really set up these plays. But right now, they're just doing such a fantastic job of securing kills on the map, translating them into objectives. 7-1 the kill score. 3,700 gold lead, 14 minutes. It is looking rough for DRX.
Yeah. I mean, it's just desperation trying to fight for grubs when you're already in a rough spot. Sponge doesn't have a completed item, and they don't have any vision control in the river either. He's just kind of running at the grub saying, okay, I'm going to go for it. And he just gets punished instead.
I feel like especially, you know, Camille is pretty weak. If we look 79 CS on Rich compared to Kingen, who's on 116.
Rich has been laning against Andil most of the, or not Rich, yeah. Kingen has been laning against Andil.
Yeah, and Yukal obviously not doing too hot. Going to be a slower spike on with the Archangels, take a while to come online. It's a center as well. I feel like DRX is going to be waiting a long time before they feel ready to fight this game, and I don't think Nongshim are going to necessarily give them the time to wait.
I mean, there's no real reason to. You got a 4-0 Aphelios. This character that generally can take some items to really begin to punish is so accelerated. He's got the Untiles.
I feel like...
I mean, who's going to stop him?
As a champ, you know, Aphelios really benefits just from stats. You know, he gets the extra stats from levels up, but like an item like Untile, just all the crit, attack speed, and AD, he's just going to feel monstrous. This snowball this far ahead. Like, I don't think there's a reason Aphelios isn't like a hard meta pick at the moment, but it is definitely not like if you get him ahead like this, he's ahead in the curve, he is very hard to deal with.
Yeah, he really is. I mean, he can keep you at distance, he can control waves very well. And there's just a lot of ways, like even if you get on him, he can be a huge threat. It's not something like as flimsy as a Kog'Maw who can just auto attack you. He's actually going to be able to red-white gun you down and potentially lifesteal and stay alive for a very long time. You have to be very crisp in how you deal with Jiwoo in this game, who, you know, talking about some of the players, he started off very rough, but he has really turned it around.
Oh, Sponge steals it. That's something at least. Blue buff secured.
He did get something, yes.
Yes. Well, we'll have to see. We've seen bigger discrepancies thrown, but not much bigger, you know? It's a lot of gold very early on. Pizza strength already coming through, and they are looking for Yukal, but just clear out the wave, just have the backup. But I feel like a lot of this game is going to be DRX trying to stave the aggression from Nongshim and hoping that with time, things will heal.
Generally, they do. And I just don't know if DRX have the time, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Won't be given it. The Rift Herald is not being started. It's just being baited. And as we can see, DRX aren't even really trying to go for it. Sponge paths towards the bottom side of his jungle, and Teddy goes for a back. And now that these two top laners have met each other once again, we talked about it before, the giant gap in CS and the level lead that Kingen has means that the Camille, it's going to be a while before she's doing much to Gnar.
Yeah, and I feel like Gnar is another one of these champions where when you get him ahead, is just such a menace to deal with. Like, his threat in the side lanes is so hard, especially with a champion like Camille. If you're not able to dive in on him and win the fight, he will just permanently have pressure. You know, we have this composition that works well in the 1-3-1 mana with Fisher on the clear. Not a fun scenario to be put in.
Yeah. Not at all.
And the winner of this series will go through to face KT in our playoffs. This is the last match we have in the play-ins period of the LCK Cup. Next stage is the playoffs. The other series is Honor Life Esports against T1. This one is Nongshim against the one that, if Nongshim win, it'd be Nongshim against KT. If DRX win, obviously be them. They have to win another game after this.
Yeah. Also, I misspoke earlier. We will actually be on current live patch next week. So we will have potentially Mel. As now, little combo here in a Rich. That is a Camille. Can he get away? Not from this duo. And that's really what it was designed to do.
Yep. You just don't gonna move. Don't gonna play the game.
Look at him. Hands on the back of his chair. I mean, there's nothing he can do at all. And it feels real bad to have this potentially be the final game until April for DRX.
Yep. And that's the thing. You know, first best of 5 immediately out. To be fair, recent iterations of DRX didn't really get that many opportunities to play best of 5s with just how, you know, we have the traditional seasonal, like the spring and summer. If you're not top 6, you don't make the playoffs, you don't get a best of 5. But definitely a lot to think over after this one, if this is where the story ends. I think if they are to come back in this game, it really just is going to take an error from Nongshim. It's going to take some major misposition, combo with like a shockwave. But ultimately, time is their friend, as we said before. And mistakes from Nongshim, which, you know, they're definitely happy in this series. They're not an infallible team. I think the interesting thing to think about is if they do win this and they go against KT, how that matchup's going to be.
It is pretty interesting, yeah, the way that the bracket has lined up in that manner. Again, this is just Camille from behind playing into Poppy and Talia, because you've got rocks on the ground, you have steadfast presence, you're getting knocked into the wall. Yeah, that's how it feels. Not good at all. As it all comes in, Gideon is Poppy, so he's going to feel totally fine. Still going to flash away just to be safe. As
there we go.
They're trying to get time on their side. They're going to catch Jiwoo right there. Big shutdown right into the hands of Rich. And Rich, you know, he was feeling real bad, but immediately one team fight later, they get a huge pick. Maybe a chance for DRX. Some hope, at least.
They've been all 5 ultimates, and Nongshim only used Poppy's ultimate. So I don't think they're in a position to fight this next. Oh no, oh no.
Well, this is pretty rough as they're going in on Sponge. Gideon pretty low, though, as not quite able to lock him down. Here comes Ondil and Teddy taking a bit of damage themselves. Will anybody die in this fight is really the main question. Sponge got extremely low. Yucal finally got on over with this TP.
Okay, a couple more ults
able to join.
Low health bars. That might actually have worked out okay for DRX. No, I think the Kingen's confident enough to start up the Dragon. I was going to say, maybe if they got them low enough, both teams would reset and they'd be able to contest the Dragon, but apparently not. Still though, this is a good play. Ultimately, they managed to shut down this Fed of Felios. I didn't actually catch who got the kill.
It was Camille. It was Rich.
Oh, nice. Beautiful then. Yeah, great knock up there from Andal. Everything's layered. They burn a lot though. That's kind of the thing. When you're this far behind, you do have to burn a lot to take down a key target. There's no, oh, let's save a couple of ults for the rest of the fight.
No.
And there's just not much they can do to follow up after this. But it's a good play. More of that. And we can see this game turning around. They got the shutdown from Jiwoo. There's still a shutdown on Fisher. Teddy's starting to get some items. 71 souls and has that black cleaver.
Yeah. I mean, most important thing, it just buys them time. You know, Infernal Soul is not going to feel good. Trying to get on top of Teddy here. Looks pretty good to be able to do that, as, yeah, he didn't get to press a single button in that passage of play. And now Sponge getting slowed down by the boomerangs, going to get walloped as well. That's another kill given over to Jiwoo. So they found an angle, but unfortunately we're a bit too worried about Otacon, and that led to their demise.
One of the problems in this situation is when they're trying to establish vision, Teddy is the one with the sightstone, you know? He has to be there warding. He's a squishy center. It never feels good. And you have the Sejuani as bodyguard. It's a squishy Sejuani, let's be real. Nongshim not struggling to kill Sponge right now.
Rich has his ult, but
Fish is 2 levels up and has the Seraph Shield.
Yeah. He got the Seraph Shield. Otacon buff as well.
Yeah, that's something, I guess.
Yeah.
Well. Otacon buff now for Nongshim. Allows some more pressure. But yeah, and this is the thing. They're fighting over this vision, trying to establish something. Teddy did have flash there. Could have maybe tried to flash over the wall away from the stun. But Sponge is just kind of doomed. Due already with the Mortal Reminder, so got the Armor Pen coming in. He's shredding right now.
And now it's Ondil versus 4. Not really sure how this happened, but they're like, he's not even worth it, honestly.
Yeah. Just
let him go. Maybe Kingen can get him.
Oh.
Because Ondil, he does buy a lot of time. I mean, he could have bought more time.
You know what I thought he was going to do? Right? I thought he was going to buy like the symbiotic souls and then have the faster recall. You know, build them and then just recall out.
Wow.
They're looking out. He can ult.
He's still there. They did not respect this at all, as now, there you go. The Shockwave comes in, and it's 400 gold to the side of DRX. They buy themselves a little bit of time.
This is what the comp does, and it does it well. It's just a shame they're so far behind.
Turret bounty?
Having to start doing it. But yeah, if they get mid-tower, they get a turret bounty. They are losing out in the bot lane, though, so they'll let Rich get this.
Okay, well, Rich is going to get it. Can he get anything else? He is not alone in the 1v1.
I think he's just hoping to get out. That's what he's trying to get right now.
Yeah.
I don't think he's getting out.
He's not getting out, I would imagine. For now, it's 2v1. They could also... Okay, and they're also going to get Teddy on top of everything else. So they get Teddy, they get Rich, and they got a big push in the bottom lane. Still 25 seconds on Otacon.
We can't have something good happen and then it just stay that way for DRX. For like, it's like something happens, I'm like, oh, okay, this is pretty good. We can, and then immediately something bad happens straight after. We missed this, so let's have a look. That'll do it. That'll do it.
Yeah. That'll do, Teddy. I mean, he... Again, as you said, somebody has to ward. It's him. Because he has the support item. And... a lot of the time, he's just... If he's going out alone, he's just going to die. Because they don't have any control at all in any lane or the jungle.
I know, like... Aphelios is always going to have a lead over a center, right? You're always going to have a lead over the center. So, like, 5.6k lead over the center, it's a lot. But, like, he's going to always have a lead. But it's a fact that Andal only has about 2k gold lead over Lens.
Yeah.
You know, it's not looking so hot. Black Cleaver completed for Teddy, going towards a rapid fire, but still a long way away. Jiu now has the Infinity Edge. Scary. Scary stuff. We also have the Dead Man's Plate from Gideon. This is the, like, you have the empowered Sundered Sky auto and the empowered Dead Man's auto. So your buckler just... it's a Captain America build. Just launch the shield at them. Boom!
Yeah. It's a big boom. That's for sure.
It is.
You could see there was a little zoom in as, okay, nice little blue ward. I don't know if they can actually do anything about the Baron. Can they stop the Baron? The wall as well, very obnoxious. TP in a mid, but the damage, look at this.
It's gone.
Yeah, it's just way too much damage from Aphelios. Remember that he can just do this with a tank, as he had Gideon, as now nice ults onto the Camille, and they just don't have an in. There's so many chakrams coming out. It's look at them! Sponge is like, oh God, run away! But nobody else got the memo, and Sponge apparently didn't either. Look at the chakrams, there's so many! There's like 8 trillion of them! He's got like a whole squad. And eventually they disappear.
I've seen so many situations where you get a chakram stacked up and everyone runs away and you don't get to hit anyone. Jiwoo was gunning for them. He wanted to get the value. And now
be the end of the game.
They could just end the game, and it's kind of a deflating loss for DRX.
Yeah.
There was some back and forth in the series, but in the end, Nongshim just played the better team. Rich trying to find an angle. He's dragging the wave away.
He does do that, and he's buying a little bit of time. Teddy's up. But yeah, realistically, they're down 11,500 gold. And it doesn't matter what kind of things you do in this one, you're just not going to have a way to stop them. Nongshim will move on to the playoffs as your 6th seed from the play-ins. They will face off against KT Rolster. And to be honest, I mean, they're looking really good. It felt rough against T1.
But that's T1.
But that's T1.
Yeah. I think a lot of people looked at T1 being like the team up there alongside D+ as one of the strongest performers right now. So I didn't take too much away from them losing to them. T1's a very good team. DRX, I think it's a bit frustrating because there were some great moments, but just the consistency wasn't there. And I think Nongshim, you know, there was definitely some moments as well where they were a little bit off, but you can see the cohesion start to come together. I think Lehens, compared to like previous lineups we've had, with Nongshim, a lot more younger, inexperienced players. Lehens is a veteran, like a hard veteran with lots of shot calling experience, and you can start to see the team really working as a unit, making great things happen. And for me, I think the man on the sign there is the one who really stood out. Gideon just had a fantastic performance.
Yeah.
Really stepping up a lot for this team, but just in this series was just kind of taking over. The jungle gap was pretty significant.
Yeah, it definitely was. Siu, not going to give us anything special this time around, but just very happy to take the win. I think what you said is very correct. It was both Gideon playing very well, but also Sponge having a rough one. Not necessarily just because of himself. You know, it just felt like, especially when Gideon would get a lead, he took it to the farthest lengths that he possibly could.
I think it's a double combo of Gideon being really good at taking advantage of a lead, but also Lahen's being devious, right? Yeah. He will be hiding in your jungle with a 3-stack, level 1. He will solo kill you in your jungle as Shen. He will do things to bully the enemy jungler, and then Gideon will reap the rewards, and he really makes the most of it. That duo between them, it's really showing up. So it's very fun to see. Kind of excited to see how it does against KT. But yeah, a team I'm keen to see more of.
She's asking if she can buy finals tickets. You know, let's not get ahead of ourselves. There's a lot of different stages you got to get through in the playoffs. But good to get excited. And this is the beginning of it. Gideon expecting Sponge to show up, Sponge not respecting it. And from here on out, it was the Gideon show in the jungle matchup.
It never got better. It never got better. And those missed a start, flash down from an invade. So Sponge not able to flash out there. And then here, it was just a sad Sejuani game. And I'm not going to sit here and say, you know, Sponge played well, there's nothing he could do, but this is a rough game, you know. There wasn't much you could do. He definitely didn't play like very well, but I think Nongshim had a plan to bully him as much as possible, and sadly, he was on the receiving end of that. Occasional moments where they showed up, showed what their composition could do, found some angles, found some opportunities to punish, but they were few and far between.
Yeah, just imagine if this were like an even game state, what this composition does from DRX.
Yeah.
Really had no issue with the comp itself. It just, you know, if you fall this far behind, doesn't matter what champions you've got.
I think that's the thing, is that, especially with Fearless, getting deeper in the drafts, I had some thoughts that, you know, how many series will be decided by draft? Like, will one team just have a big edge late in the series? I feel like the last 2 games, DRX had an edge in draft, and yet they still lost. And I think it kind of, you know, as much as people like to think, oh, it's over in draft, it often isn't. Draft isn't everything. Gameplay is a big factor, and
yeah.
Wow, Fisher did a lot of damage. You know, when he had the chakrams at the end, I feel like a good chunk of his damage was just that.
Yeah,
that
like
moment.
The whole dark red bar, which is like damage after 14 or 15, I believe. You know, it was probably all that fight.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Nongshim, definitely the better team on the day for sure. And, you know, maybe from here we saw 4 drafts that now KT Rolster can take a look at and say, hey, Nongshim looked weak here, or like, oh, we weren't sure about this. You know, a lot to pull apart and so much to break down before we do get into playoffs for both Nongshim and now their opponent KT. I
think for how this team works together, this is a good opportunity for Nongshim to grow. I think Gideon Fisher benefiting from doing this best of 5. Gideon, 100% play the match, 100% for sure. But like having the experience in a Fearless best of 5 is good. And I think I'm not fully sold on KT. I think it could be a good match between them. I think Nongshim really could take them down. But yeah, Gideon definitely benefiting from having Lahens in his team. But even the game he lost, I feel like he was a massive factor in that one. He just had 4 good games. And when he had an advantage, he knew how to run away with it. Like Sponge brought out his Nidalee, and that was the only game that they ended up winning. And even then, he wasn't like that far ahead off the Lilia.
His Lilia was awesome as well. Like, so many ults were set up. Like, so many of the fights were almost turned back by Gideon. So, really got to give him a lot of credit. I think Lahens, maybe a little shout out to him as well. A lot of different moments where you could tell his shot calling or his roam or this and that were really the difference makers. But Gideon was really kind of the star of the show.
Yeah, I also love when we have a player who maybe things don't work out for, like Gideon when he was on Bro, and they end up, unfortunately, leaving the LCK, but they come back and really show what they could have done and show what they can do.
Yeah, it's really cool to see. You know, spent a lot of time in Challengers as well, and there were, I think he went over to LPL and came back, and like there were a lot of different players or people that were like, oh, we really like this guy, but he's not really experienced enough. So it's nice to see a cool success story, and we will be hearing from him in just a moment. But yeah, was a fun first best of 5 in Fearless here for LCK Cup.
Games.
I was most sad by that.
Yeah, I was really.
Once that game started going the way of Gnome like 100%, I was like, ah.
I wouldn't have mind if the fourth game was really close and down the edge. I wouldn't have mind if it finished at 4, but
yeah,
that was kind of the blatant end. I'm sure we will get a 5-game best of 5 at some point in playoffs.
We will eventually, but guys, we're done for now. We're going to hand it over to Deer for the translation of the POM.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Deer for the POM interview translation, joined by Gideon on the side of Nongshim Red Boars. What a spicy play and a spicy crowd. You successfully seized the final ticket to the playoffs, and this will be your first POM as well. How do you feel? You know, I was lucky enough to get POM, but my teammates were actually so good in supporting me, and I think that's why I really want to just take this moment and share it with my teammates, my coaching staff, and the fans as well. It looks like it was the first best of 5 in hard fearless format. So how was it? You know, our jungle, mid, AD carry, and Kingen, they all have really good and big and wide champion pools. So I think we were actually really good in terms of coming up with the draft. So during the draft, did anyone say that it was difficult to pick a champion for any specific lane? I would say if we had to pick one, it would be the mid lane. And honestly, we're actually constantly working on minimizing our weakness. And in an interview, your head coach said not to rely on the veterans like Kingen and Lihans, to create the healthy team environment where every player does their part is the goal. So what was the practice process like to achieve that? I think just from our scrims, the process and the result has been really good. So I think that's really been amplifying our confidence. So I think we have a really good spirit going on as a team. And yeah, what an intense match today with great focus. Nongshim took the victory, and there were moments where Nongshim turned the game around from a pinch. You know, I think we were able to get our victory today is really because of our fans, and whether it be snowing or raining, we always have the support from our fans, and also our very supportive and talented coaching staff actually have all contributed to our victory today. And for the first time in 4 years, Nongshim has made it to the playoffs. What is your resolution into the playoffs? You know, KT is actually my XX team, and I will make sure that I can stand against their jungle as well. Congratulations on the playoffs again, and that's the end of the interview with Gideon. Back to the space. Thank you.